Now begin creating our 3D navigation map and use the scene capture render target as its background. We'll create our UI with programmable and reusable items, including custom buttons, and build them with public variables so we can alter their logic within other widgets. The course videos so far have been built to walk us through each step of the process, including naming and commenting. But now I will be focusing on only new concepts and skip over much of the already known steps. I'll be sure to point out things to keep in mind for what we are about to learn to assist you in your future projects. I'll trust that you will continue to comment your code, name your assets, and organize your variables and functions. Your colleagues, clients, customers, students, teachers, community, and/or future self will thank you. Let's start by creating a new blank widget for our top mode. We will use the canvas panel later, but for the root of this widget, replace it with a horizontal box. Let's place an image inside the horizontal box and set it to fill vertically and horizontally. Set the image to our RT scene capture. If you recall, we set our render target dimensions to 1080 by 1080. We're going to be using a 9:16 aspect ratio, so let's up the dimensions to 1920 by 1080. After you change the sizes, you will see the image disappear. This is because the scene capture component that is building this image needs to update. Simply changing to the Tracker List Studio tab will allow the scene capture component to recapture the scene. Move around the BP scene capture to see the map updating in the widget. It looks really cool, and in a future course, we'll have the camera animate like that as we change to the preview mode. Let's create the buttons that we will use throughout the map. I'm going to create a new folder named Reusable and create a new widget called WC for child underscore main button. Because this map is simple enough, there is no need to set up any more than our one button that we can reuse over and over. So let's again replace the canvas panel with a horizontal box and place a full spanning button inside. For now, we will place a print screen on clicked. Let's create an asset named eButtonFunction. Based on that name, you should now know what that asset type is. Let's list the possible functions of a button that we will use in our map. Create a new variable of eButtonFunction and connect it to our print string for us to make sure the button is working. Next, let's create another reusable widget named W_userButton. Instead of having a horizontal box as we've normally done, let's use a size box to control the max vertical size of it. The purpose of this asset will be to contain the text of our buttons in the map. Having a single reusable asset to inform our end user what a certain button does is very useful and allows for quick revisions. Inside of the size box, let's place an overlay so we can have multiple children in the hierarchy, an image for the background, and a text block. Inside of UMG hierarchy, the further down a block is, the higher it is in the hierarchy. In this case, our size box will be the base layer of this widget and everything under it is higher up. This is important when arranging your widgets not only for visuals, but for receiving input from a user. We will want our WC main button on the bottom of the hierarchy list, making it the top item on the pile. So when we click the button, WC main button will receive the click. Let's add the same eButtonFunction variable here so we can have the text change based on the value of the enumeration. I'm going to leave a note for us that this is where we will add the color scheme options in a future course. Directly after that, I've used a select node to set the text. Now with a simple value change, things will update for us automatically. If you can't find your text block in the Variables tab, make sure to set isVariable to true. Also, you will not be able to use a select node on a text input. You will need to create a toText from string node and use select from there. We need to inform our main button what the value of eButtonFunction should be. On event construct, let's set the value inside of WC main button as the value that is set here. Back in our top mode, I've wrapped the image live map with an overlay so I can place a horizontal box on top of it. This is where we will have our canvas panel to hold the map points and separately a vertical box for the sidebar buttons. Set the canvas panel to full and the vertical box to auto. Now the canvas panel will fill as much space as possible and the vertical box will take only the space it needs. Search for our user buttons in the palette and drag 3 into the vertical box. The first thing you should notice is that all their text blocks say close map, as that is the default value of the enumeration that we use to set the text. I've set them to their proper values and distributed them within the vertical box using the alignment settings. Lastly, add one more user button below the live map in the hierarchy and set the horizontal alignment to center, and the value of the E button function to description. We have created several widgets and began to build the UMG hierarchy for the navigation map. We also gave the button widgets an instance editable variable so that each produces a different result when clicked. Next, we enable spawning of the navigation map from the VR pawn using the motion controllers.